everyone, and thanks for being here today to celebrate this important milestone for the city of Montpelier, or in Winooski, I should say. We're just talking about Montpelier, I'm sorry. 20 years ago, this city transformed their vision into action, breaking ground on their revitalization project, which took courage, commitment, hard work, and perseverance throughout the entire project until today. This success story in Winooski is also a success story for Vermont's TIF program, which helps communities spark development and infrastructure investments for the kind of results you see around us today. By financing improvements to public infrastructure, which then helps attract private investment and development, TIFs have been critical to helping cities like Winooski and St. Albans grow and attract the workers, families, and businesses we need throughout the state. These investments are very effective and give a great return, like growing the grand list and increase the amount of revenue that goes to the education fund without raising taxes. Here are some numbers that prove this out. Winooski's grand list has grown from $25 million in 2004 to $104 million today, a $79 million increase. When it comes to the Ed Fund, at the close of Winooski's TIF, this part of the city is expected to contribute over $2 million compared to $519,000 at the start of the TIF. The city estimates over 2/3 of that increase is the direct result of development within the TIF district. But importantly, you can look around with your own eyes and see the results of significant impact it's had on the vibrancy of the city itself. Outside this circle, we have restaurants, shops, housing, offices, and much, much more, all of which benefited from this initiative. Winooski is proof that when the government provides incentives for the private sector to invest, and when there's strong collaboration between the community and businesses, we can get a lot done. This is a model we need to learn from in many other policy areas, like housing, where we desperately need more. I want to thank everyone who played an important role in Winooski's downtown redevelopment over the past 20 years, from local leaders and community partners, many of them here today, to then Governor Jim Douglas, who successfully advocated with President Bush for federal support, and to our congressional delegation, who are huge supporters of this as well. Projects like this take a big team, and with everyone pulling in the same direction. So with that, I'll now turn it over to Mayor Christine Lott, and I thank her for all her hard work to see this through and all the work on a day-to-day basis. Mayor.
All right, thank you all for joining us today here in the renowned Winooski Rotary. We stand where once a massive surface parking lot anchored our downtown. From an old mill town that struggled for decades, where urban renewal wiped out several city blocks, to today, where we see the realization of a vibrant, walkable downtown, thanks to the vision of community leaders 2 decades ago. This rebirth allowed us to retain historic blocks while adding new businesses, jobs, and opportunity to our community. We created a vital downtown, and we are proud of our thriving restaurant and nightlife scene that draws visitors from out of town and out of state. We're proud of the increased housing stock across affordability levels that's allowed us to welcome more residents to Winooski and to our region. And of the public spaces that were created, welcoming community activity, including this park, the beautiful river walk, and a public parking garage and transit hub, increasing access to the area. The downtown redevelopment set the stage for our continued growth and success, including a new hotel that's underway, and a Main Street revitalization project that we're kicking off this year. The new tax revenue generated has increased our municipal budget significantly, allowing us to increase community services and infrastructure upgrades, continuing to build our vision of a multimodal city where you can live, work, and play all in this 1 square mile. It created a place people want to live and visit. Over the past 20 years, Winooski has transformed from a town with a bad reputation to a destination, attracting new residents and visitors alike. It takes community leaders willing to take risks to achieve a vision like this. The TIF would not have happened or succeeded without dedicated vision, tenacity, and commitment from former leaders like Bill Niquette, Mike O'Brien, Sally Tipson, Clem Bissonette, George Cross, many others. We are grateful for the support of these folks, for the residents who have weathered the evolution of our town, and want to thank all of the funding partners who made it happen, state agencies, city staff and officials, local businesses, and our downtown organization that have carried this work forward to help us realize the vision of being Vermont's opportunity city. With that, I would like to welcome Vermont State Treasurer and local resident, Mike Pichak.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Mayor Lott. It is a pleasure to be here with everybody in my adopted hometown to celebrate this significant milestone in the economic development of Winooski. The Winooski TIF District played a pivotal role in fostering economic growth, community development, and this initiative has served and will continue to serve as a catalyst for positive change and a testament to our commitment to building strong, vibrant communities in Vermont. As you heard from the governor and Mayor Lott, the economic impact has been profound, driving job creation, infrastructural improvements, increased property value, and I think maybe most importantly, more homes for Winooski and for the region. Just from my own personal story, when I was moving back to Vermont about 10 years ago, I looked to Winooski as a place where I wanted to create a home. And I wanted to create a home here because of the vibrancy of the community, because of the deep relationships that people have here in Winooski and the support that each other has in this community. That economic development, the excitement, the growth that was happening here made it a very attractive place to settle and make a home. And it also was a more affordable place to live than many of the other areas in the region. And that's critical for Winooski and for its future and for the future of our state as well. As the governor mentioned, fostering collaboration between the private and public sectors is critical to our economic future. Winooski has demonstrated that this model is sustainable and puts the needs and aspirations of the community at the forefront. The success of Winooski serves as an inspiration and as a blueprint for other communities to harness the power of innovative financing for sustainable development. I want to express my gratitude to everyone that played a role in making this come to fruition. I'm excited to call Winooski home, and I'm very excited for its future as well. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Joan Goldstein.
Thank you, Treasurer Pichak, and I'm so glad to be here and in this spirit of celebration. At the Department of Economic Development resides the Vermont Economic Progress Council. They also stand behind us here today. They go through the job of vetting each of the districts and administering all the needs and the ongoing monitoring. Governor Scott and Mayor Lott mentioned the increase in Winooski's grand list and education tax contributions, but there is more. Winooski data shows that the TIF district has resulted in more than 400 units of housing. Businesses have reported creating more than 800 jobs since at least 2013. They've added at least 15 new storefronts as well. Winooski has also experienced significant growth in sales, use, meals, and alcohol tax collections from about $11.5 million in 2004 to about $40.5 million today. Existing commercial spaces were reimagined, like the Champlain Mill along the Winooski River and the former Key Bank here at the corner of Maple and West Allen, which is now Four Quarters Brewing. DSAC and Community College of Vermont also built new buildings here within the TIF. And Winooski isn't finished. The city has issued a permit for soil remediation for a parcel along Abenaki Way that could see further redevelopment. It's so good to be here to celebrate. As we all know, despite all this success, we are all aware of that TIF is not always in the press for celebration purposes. And in case you think that's unique to Vermont, I just have returned from a 2-day economic development commissioners gathering from all over the nation, and 30 of my fellow state commissioners were there, and they have disabused me of that notion. One state who could not be more different from Vermont in every way, size, politics, development patterns, said they are unable to even mention the acronym TIF or even the phrase tax incrementing financing because it raises so much fury. So it is really a courageous effort amongst economic development professionals and municipal officials to get these initiatives through to grow and revitalize their towns. We are proud in Vermont to say that TIF is the tool that brought the success about for the town and for the state. Today we are honoring Winooski, but there are many other examples. St. Albans and South Burlington and Hartford and Killington are right now developing and using the TIF to facilitate smart growth and make improvements that will spur further investment and improve the livability and vitality of those communities. You know, Winooski is one example, and we are so impressed by the utility of TIF that we've created a new TIF-like structure that we're presenting at the legislature as we speak, which is to recover from the disaster. It's called Disaster Resiliency Investment Area. So using that same type of structure, typically towns will bond for public improvement, and there's so much resiliency measures that have to take place that cost a lot, and this TIF-like structure could help communities recover. You know, many Vermont communities are working to recover and, you know, may not be able to collect taxes on properties that were destroyed. And so we believe that this effort will prevent loss of housing units, loss of, you know, decline in Grand List, and create the opportunity for growth in Grand List. So Senator Rahm has included in her housing bill this year, and of course it'll need broad support, but I mention it just because we believe so much in that type of utility. TIF is an invaluable economic tool. We encourage communities interested in forming a TIF to reach out to us at the department or the Vermont Economic Progress Council so they can revitalize their communities just as Winooski has revitalized theirs. And with that, I'll introduce you. Probably don't need any introduction to somebody who has a role in the redevelopment, and that's Bill Niket. Thank you.
Oh, wow. There goes all my luck for the week right there. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Governor Scott, and thank you for this opportunity to be able to reflect a bit on what has been a really incredible journey for the city. I'm here in the place of Mayor Clem Bissonette. I could very easily spend the couple of minutes I've been allotted just thanking all the people who were involved in this project, many of whom are standing here. But personally and professionally in my 30-year career, I have never encountered anyone who has been more supportive of his community, more giving of his time, and more supportive of me personally than Mayor Bissonette. His incredible 40-year commitment to the city as mayor, as representatives, as dog catcher, as a volunteer firefighter. It's really an incredible testament to the sort of talent we have in Vermont that is necessary to make these kind of projects happen. And I just want to recognize his contribution to this project. So I was pleased to have this opportunity, but at the same time, I came to the realization that I'm now the old guy who can provide historical perspective. When I started this, I had a lot more hair and a lot more optimism, thankfully for someone. And I just want to paint a very brief picture. We've all heard about the things that have happened since this investment, but imagine standing here in Winooski in the mid-90s with a lot of vacant storefronts, effectively a 6-lane highway that had been built focused on moving people through Winooski rather than having people enjoy it. A downtown waterfront that was entirely privately owned. Most of what is now the Winooski Boardwalk was a loading dock for a 1-story strip mall that had taken the place of 6 or 8 blocks of the city that had been torn down in the 1970s. Even for someone like myself who grew up here and has a rich history here, it's hard to even remember what that was. This was a surface parking lot that really didn't reflect in any way the fine 200-year development history of the city, which goes all the way back to Ethan Allen's brother Ira deciding this was a good place to speculate in real estate in the early 1800s. And for me, when I'm asked, I've had the good fortune to work on projects like this, nothing quite this meaningful to me, but over the 20 years since. But what's most interesting to me about this project are two things. An incredible community commitment that's required to make these kind of projects happen, and the tool of tax increment financing. Our district was a special district that required approval of the legislature, and lots of people in the town and city had to vote to approve that. But it's the trend of what we're talking about, these tax increment districts today that are being used. Every project that I work on around the state today, St. Albans, Burlington, different locations, all have used this tool to glue together a large number of disparate financing sources and be able to bring that to bear against problems that cannot be solved in phases. If the city wants to get rid of 4 private power line crossings across the Winooski River and create a boardwalk for its waterfront, there isn't really a good way to do a lot of that in 5 pieces, but it requires a community to invest all at once. And solving for that chicken and egg problem that each Vermont community that's trying to reinvent itself faces is what these TIF districts do and what they're all about. We've spent a lot of time today talking about the various public parties who've been involved. I just want to also recognize that it takes an incredible amount of private investment to make these projects happen. And in addition to the city and all of its various commitments, we have developers and investors such as Ken Braverman of the Braverman Company, who's here today, and Andy Burns of Paul Keene, who have to partner with these cities in order to leverage this investment. It's impossible to take the $40 million of public dollars that were spent here and create the hundreds of millions of investments that have happened since without private investment who believes in the future of these communities. And they're always a critical part of making these TIF districts work, and it's just important for me to recognize that. I see many other folks who I love dearly who were a big part of my life during this project, and I wish I could recognize you all. But the message I want to convey today is appreciation for the support of the community. Also that this tool is available to solve problems not here and is used nationally and should be used more in Vermont going forward. We're an example, and I think a pretty unique one, but certainly not so unique as to not see parallels all over the state in communities that have problems that need to be solved in a uniform way, and this gives us a place to do it. So I thank you for this opportunity to speak today, and I would turn it back over to the governor.
Thank you very much, Bill. We'll now open it up to questions on topic first.
Also, some have had concerns about, we don't know whether this development would have happened with or without the TIF district.
I'm a firm believer that the TIFs do work, that this development would not have taken place had it not been for the TIFs. So I reject the notion that we're starving the Ed Fund, because I don't believe the money would have gone there if this hadn't happened. So it's just a different perspective, different philosophical outlook, and I believe in this energizing the economy, being able to put the money into these investments into the areas like this in Winooski have been tremendously beneficial to the community and the state of Vermont in general. Anyone else want to comment on that?
Maybe
You can reinforce it if you want.
Yeah, we do hear that argument quite a lot, and if that were the case, I don't think we'd be in the housing crisis that we're in right now. So to say that it would happen anyway feels like a gamble, and we really don't want to gamble with the future. We really want to invest, and never before have I heard of investment as sort of robbing something. It's an actionable and a proactive decision to invest for the future. Thank you.
I was a legislator in 2004 with George Cross and others who supported this TIF district, as I have and others have on many. So I think in concert with the governor, I think it's pretty cross-partisan, often the support with respect to TIF districts, really stimulating sort of getting over that hump that then unleashes that investment potential of the private and public sectors together. So I agree with the governor.
I think the Lieutenant Governor and I were both serving in the legislature at the time. We both voted for this measure and have been really impressed with the outcome.
Your TIF district, is it one of the first to complete its TIF projects?
It's one of the first. I don't know if it's the only. Maybe Milton, Burlington had one as well. Yeah. Yeah. So there have been others, but this is certainly the largest, I believe.
Maybe these numbers were also floated, but like for this block, for instance, how many like commercial and retail storefronts or offices there are, and how many are currently vacant versus occupied?
I mean, currently, right now, I'm not sure.
Sorry, we don't have it ready.
Oh, you don't have it ready. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have it ready.
But they'll get back to you.
When you look around here,
Yeah, I mean, when you look back 20 years ago and saw the empty storefronts and what you're seeing today, the change has been dramatic, significant. Okay, is that it, or are there other questions off topic? Off topic. Maybe can we get maybe that closer? Off topic. Just difficult to. And these are off topic, so some of you may not be want to be a part of this.
the other press conference.
It's starting with license plates and darned up socks bundle. You can have an email or an office did at least yesterday. The legislature's recent move to essentially ban that kind of sale. What do you have to say about that? What do you want to see?
Well, again, first of all, I'd like to promote the sale of the socks and the plates. It's still helping many businesses and entities recover from the flood. So the reaction yesterday was it was a little sooner than I thought. I knew that they weren't happy with us taking action during the flood and after the flood. So it was anticipated, but I didn't think it was going to be in the budget adjustment, which is typically for something that needs to be done right now. But I was expecting it in the transportation budget or some other, maybe the big bill. But again, we have some stock that we need to get rid of. So this is more of a promotion for us. So if you haven't gotten your socks and your plate, get them while you can.
And as well with state's attorneys, Jacobs right now has you are in charge of this. Are there any comments on that? And on Sarah's board currently there's change.org and calling for her resignation. Any thoughts on either of those two state attorneys?
Well, the Addison County State's Attorney should reflect on how this would impact her doing her job. So that's up to her at this point. In terms of the Chittenden County State's Attorney, we've gone through a couple of elections, or at least one election cycle, and they've reelected her. So again, that's up to her. But I think that they should have used their frustration during the last election.
Speaking of the ed fund, this morning, House Ways and Means started looking over some proposals to maybe raise some revenue, out tax, candy, soda. Would you support raising taxes to try to get our arms around this property tax?
No.
Why not?
Because I think these issues that are impacting the ed fund could have been addressed with some of the provisions, some of the proposals we put forth over the last 7 or 8 years. They didn't take advantage of that. I think that we're going to have to, again, it's significant. It's over $200 million shortfall and a huge tax increase. I've heard possibly up up to 20% at this point. We were talking about 17, now up to 20. But throwing more money at this issue isn't going to address it. That's what we've been doing. And I think that it's time for us to take a look and make sure that we address the issue before we just start throwing more money at it and raising taxes. But I don't think Vermonters have the capacity to absorb.
Do you think that there's anything that can be done between now and town meeting day, or do you think that these are changes that might take, we'll have to deal with increased property taxes in the next couple of years, then we settle this out?
I think we have to do all the above. I think we have to fix the problem. I think we have to reflect on what maybe has been done recently, and maybe undo some of that to reduce the costs, and to make sure that we don't have this impact in the future.
Also, speaking of education, where do we stand with appointing an education secretary?
Well, we received the names back in November. We've had a few things going on since then. My team has been interviewing with them.